So Valentine's Day is this weekend, and that holiday always deserves a good romantic pick, and we have that for you this week. Kind of. Yeah, The Merit of Whether or Not a Matter of Life and Death, aka Stairway to Heaven, as it was released here in the US. We discussed that, but regardless, this movie's a great gateway into the works of Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger, so here's hoping that you join us. Welcome to Debt to Cinema. I'm Stephen Maltmanex.
And I'm Brian Gillis. Like most people, we love going to the theater and catching latest releases. However, we sadly put a big dent in our wallet.
Fortunately, living in the digital age makes the viewing possibilities endless from the comforts of home.
Many of these films that you can see right from your couch, we're ashamed to say we miss, despite labeling ourselves cinephiles.
So join us as one or both of us cross off a title from our list of shame.
It can be an all-time essential classic,
or an underrated piece of cinema that's worth giving a shot.
Hell, it might just be some trashy film we want the other's opinion on. So sit tight and join us as we pay off our debts, $1 at a time.
With Valentine's Day being on a weekend this year and our episodes come out on Wednesday, I figured, we may as well both do picks and have it sandwiched in between there. But yeah, this isn't really a romance movie. It's a romantic fantasy, but the relationship is not
No.
what this is about at all.
This is about time on Earth and the afterlife and those questions you think about long at night when you can't sleep. It is definitely a existential film, and it's great too. Has some really great imagery, but this is not a romance, not by a long shot.
Well, I mean, that's a big part of it, though.
It's a big part of the plot.
It's ultimately, I think,
it's not a big part of the movie.
I think it's ultimately what the movie does end up being about. Is that it is about the power of love.
Yes, but no.
I mean, that's the point.
You've seen Watchmen. Have you read it?
Yeah.
Okay, what Dr. Manhattan does there, while he helps save civilization, the whole you were raped and your mother still gave birth to you and you happened, that's a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
That basically does what this film does.
How so?
Except it does it a little bit better. Because like his reason, right, for saving humanity is because out of all the infinitesimal possibilities, the fact that their child was brought forth by a rape and all of this, and that he is in love with the daughter of this rape occurrence. Well, it's not. No. The comedian tried to rape.
Well, I get what you mean. Like,
out of still had a kid anyway.
Out of something horrible,
and this
something
film,
good could come out of it.
At the end of it, this court case is about the probability of things and the likelihood of love, and it had like I was thinking of a similar thing. Maybe Alan Moore was influenced by this film. Like I know it's a really revered one. Speaking of which, it's the first one I've seen by this directing duo of Mike Powell and Pressman.
One of the many great ones that they have. Yeah,
I haven't seen The Red Shoes, Peeping Tom.
That's just Michael Powell. Yeah, Black Narcissus is like one of the big ones that they're known for. Although to me that's a lesser one. It's just a gorgeous
Parallel.
Yeah. Oh, 49 Parallel is so good.
Lots of highly revered
Life and Death of Colonel Bloom
classical films.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm sure you said in the intro, but and you just kind of broke it down that it wasn't true because this isn't romance. I'm assuming you've seen this before.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I don't know.
No.
Things that neither of us have seen.
I mean, Powell and Pressburger, those are two directors who they have acclaimed films, and yet they're very underknown, or at least very underappreciated.
Yeah, I'd heard the name Mike Powell, but I didn't know they were a duo, and I didn't know that the films we just ran down were by them. They're definitely under the radar. I think that happens with duos too, especially of this time period. I don't even know if the DGA or the Academy really not represented, but kind of admitted or just observed duos at that time.
I don't know.
They didn't really exist.
It's really interesting too. I mean, just the credits. It's the same for all the movies. It's one screen that says written, directed, and produced by,
and then a
whole screen just dedicated to their names. I mean, that's really cool.
It was pretty cool. Also pretty douchey, but cool. Definitely.
No, but it's like that for all the Archers productions. But yeah, I mean, this movie, all their movies in general, I think they're very very unique. Like, I mean, at one point,
This definitely
yeah,
has a
I
visual
didn't
aspect to it that I've not really ever seen elsewhere, and
honestly.
especially at the time, it must have been
I mean,
groundbreaking.
the way that their Technicolor films look, it always reminds me of classic Disney animation, like especially this one. Like it has that
Yeah,
feel.
when
But
you see color, when you come back from black and white for the first time, and you see those
yeah,
flowers, it was like a
I
painting,
love
very lifelike, very colorful.
yeah that line from Conductor 71 when he comes down to Earth for the first time. Like it's so nice to see Technicolor. It's just so dull up there in black and white.
That's like the
Yeah,
most French person I've ever seen
that's
in a movie.
that's a fake accent.
He's
No,
like, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, he is the epitome of what people think of as the
He
stereotypical
is, yeah.
Frenchman.
No, but he's having a lot of fun in it. Marius Goring,
Definitely.
who's also in the Red Shoes, though he's great in that movie.
I love the joke about him getting beheaded that they
Yeah,
reference a whole bunch, and then it's like, well, that's why he's wearing this thing on his neck. You kind of started off with where I was gonna go here. I liked the movie. It's just it wasn't a romance, and I didn't
yeah,
like that
that's my bad.
the cornerstone of the plot is that they're in love, and I never felt it. Like I love that first opening scene on the plane where they're
Hmm.
talking over the radio, and the way their banner is, and how quick it is, and how quick-witted David Niven is in the role. I was like, oh wow, this is great, this is amazing, this is awesome. And then they're in love because of that. I couldn't buy it,
Yeah, but I mean,
and I
then again,
understood why the court couldn't buy it either.
well, then again, yeah, you need to have it because that's the plot of this movie.
Yeah,
That
it's the
it's the
whole
entire
movie. Yeah.
case. I mean, it's funny. I did realize this because and I didn't finish saying this, but I used to. I don't know how accurate this is for all the movies. I kind of take it back, but I used to say that these guys were the Pixar of their day.
Maybe, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, for this one, it just kind of reminded me of what I thought of Inside Out. Although I
Mm,
guess because this isn't a romance, so there isn't that emotional connection there, and that's a valid criticism. But yeah, for me, that's not the case because I don't. That's not what this is about. It's really just the
it really isn't.
creativity of the world. I mean, that opening. I mean, everything about
Yeah,
this
with
is
the
unique.
galaxy, the scrolling text
I
even.
know. I love how the narrator
Um,
is just, is being funny. They're like, "Uh oh, someone just earned off the
yeah,
uranium atom there, huh?
I love
Oh,
the
it's okay. It's not
transitions
us." Yeah.
with the deep pullouts that go into a painting that become the stars, like that
Mhm.
one during the court case that shows the whole Colosseum, which becomes like a nebulae,
Yeah.
and then it
And
goes
then they
back. Like
go
that
down the
was,
stairway.
yeah, it was really amazing.
I mean,
Like even today, that would be lauded for its creative use of the camera.
I mean, I
Um,
love like seeing that, that opening shot, just how you look at the Earth and it's not, it's a little dark, but it's
it doesn't
clearly
look, yeah,
green.
it doesn't look like the
I
Earth.
mean, and yeah, which of course we didn't have images of
Yeah.
space then, but it's just really cool seeing how we imagined that at that time.
I don't like how the narrator's like, this is our moon and this is our Earth. It's like, well, there's only one Earth as far as I'm aware. But yeah, totally with you, man. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here. I like the Doctor. I love that
Yeah,
the
Roger Livesey.
judge in heaven was the doctor at
Hmm.
the end, the surgeon.
Yeah,
One of those fun little like Wizard of Oz type things going on.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where that's up for debate of whether or not it's all
In David
in David
Niven's
Niven's
head.
head. Yeah, which you know what,
I think it
that's
isn't.
fine, but no, I think this movie sets up a fantasy, so I'm willing to believe in this fantasy world. I don't think it's for me. It's not really something worth pondering over.
It yeah, it doesn't mean anything to the movie. It's something that you can talk about
Yeah.
after the film with coffee and pie. Uh,
But yeah, heaven in this movie, like I love that, just that distinction. We already said it, yeah, but like from black and white to color, like just because,
well, we
black
didn't
and
really say
white
it.
does give you that otherworldly feel to it, and yeah, it's weird. There's something kind of sterile and beautiful to it when they get in there.
I love how it's the opposite of the Wizard of Oz.
Hmm.
How Kansas is dull and boring and
Yeah.
black and white, and then you get to Oz and it's colorful and
And
amazing.
that works here though
Whereas
because
it's the opposite her.
well, it works
Yeah,
better here. Yeah,
it's
because
even better
reality we
here.
see things in color. Like that's
Yeah.
exactly why. Whereas
Well,
yeah,
not even just that. It's just the idea that, you're dead and
yeah.
nothing is as vivid or lively as it was on Earth. Like it's like you said, the conductor was it
Hmm.
71, when he's like, oh, it's all Technicolor, and
Yeah.
you can tell that he's happy, even though this is like something that he
Yeah,
got in trouble for.
it's like even
He's
though
just happy to be on Earth
yeah,
again.
it's like even though heaven, that's a place that some of them, the American GIs when they go for the Coke machine, like, oh man, this is the place. Like,
That was product placement,
I
okay?
know
You
that
might have
no,
made
that
fun
was
of You
funny.
Got Mail.
I
That was over the top. He was like, "Oh, look, we're in heaven. Look, they got
I know. I
Coke
was like,
here. This is awesome."
do we have private quarters? We're all the same here. All right, or no U.S. shows? No, fine, we'll stay.
That was David Attenborough in
Uh,
that scene.
no,
Not that guy. I think the guy
the guy that
after.
asks if it's heaven. But yeah, I like that, especially that Technicolor line because it shows like, hey, they're kind of all bored up there.
But it's just a good wink at the audience.
Yeah,
At this time, is 46. Technicolor still wasn't adopted by everything. I think people forget. Like they know that 39 was the year that Colors happened. Well, like in the big times
yeah,
anyway.
like
But
37 was the first one, I think.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, there was a couple. I mean, obviously, you had Snow White, which was 38, I believe.
37.
Um, was that
Hmm.
37? But yeah, color, just like talkies, it didn't take off until, well, the talkies were pretty fast, but color didn't become like the main thing until like the mid 50s, early 50s. And so this had to be at the time a really big deal.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it's amazing that like especially the life and death of Colonel Blimp. That was a Technicolor movie, and that was also a propaganda film that was made during the war. This movie too. Like right, the production started like months after the war ended. I think.
uh,
Yeah, and I mean that is the thing. This movie was also the kind of also a propaganda film because it's that movie that's
well,
supposed to
I
bridge the
mean,
gap between U.S. and U.K. relations.
did anyone really want? Because I saw this online that there's some people that claim because there's no Japanese, Italian, or German soldiers in the film that it's a propaganda for the
No, but I
Allies.
mean they're
It's like, well, can you blame them? Are you going to put them in the movie when they just try to take over the world?
Well, it's focused specifically on Britain. It's a British production, and that was the mandate of what they wanted this movie to be, of what the studio wanted. But yeah,
Hmm.
no, there is. Yes, there's a ton of white people, but even in heaven, there's a lot of
No,
cultural
there's
representation there.
there's
Yeah,
really good representation of other people. I'm just saying, like, there's that criticism that the the non-allies, that the Third Reich and Japan
oh,
and
they're all in
Italy.
hell. Yeah, don't worry
I
about it.
guess, well, it's not even just
You
that.
can't
That's like that is a
humanize.
fair idea. I think that's fair. It's just the idea that there are critics and film aficionados out there that don't appreciate this film because in the Spike Lee, hey, you didn't put any black people in
Hmm.
Flags of Our Fathers,
Yeah, I
type
mean,
of
this
thing.
is right after the war too. So I mean, it's still the
Yeah,
world is
yeah.
still recovering. Although
It's
I do like, the 49 parallel on Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. Those are by technical term propaganda movies, but they definitely don't feel it. They still are able to stand the test of time. I mean, this too, even without that context, I think is still a great fantasy.
I mean, I really want to. I've been meaning to see the Red Shoes. It's on one of my lists of shame.
That's one of my
Um,
favorites.
and this definitely made me want to check it out, especially if the world making they have is even close.
And the Technicolor photography.
But yeah, David Niven's really good in this. I
Yeah,
haven't seen him in much. I've seen like the Pink Panther, Around the World in 80
Guns and
Days.
Navarone.
Like I've seen him. I've seen his scenes from Casino Royale, but no, I haven't seen him in many things. And so it was really fun to see him being the wisecracking, British fly boy who falls to earth, I guess you could say. I guess it's my fault. I don't watch many classical films. Like if it's pre like 78, I probably haven't seen it,
Well,
just as a rule of thumb.
and this isn't one of the, all the like really early stuff. It's always some old Hollywood classic like Gone with the Wind or Wizard of Oz. I mean, I was about to say actually I forgot. I think I should have mentioned this or well, whatever. Yeah. And now I'm blanking on the name of the Frank Capra movie that this is reminding me of. Yeah, it's a Wonderful Life. I don't know, just that celestial imagery
Uh,
at the beginning. I don't know. There is that sense there because they're both
you could
movies
make the
that
argument because it's about angels,
yeah,
I
they both
guess.
cross between heaven and earth. So there
Except
is definitely that feel.
the difference, though, is that It's a Wonderful Life, the message of the story is how powerful it is to be alive, and you shouldn't take your life for granted. It's a very life-affirming movie. It's like the original suicide prevention film, and this is just, like this reminds me more of Down to Earth or Heaven Can Wait. Like it's that kind of movie. It's like you're
Hmm.
supposed to go to the afterlife,
But
but
we
you
fucked
fell
up.
in love
Yeah.
And so we fucked up, and we got to try to fix this for you so you can live out your dreams.
Although this is
It
way more
has,
fun than Down to Earth. Like
yeah,
it becomes a courtroom drama in heaven, which is really fucking cool.
which is really weird. That guy that plays the first dude that died from
Abraham
a
Farland.
Turkish bullet, yeah,
Yeah.
he's really over the top.
No, you know what?
Um,
Honestly, we got holograms of Tupac. They should bring this guy back and put him in every single Michael Bay film from now on because
what?
you want more over the top patriotism. I just want to hear that line, "Good American stock," over and over
He's
and over again. Yeah, it is over the top.
I do love how when they reselect the jury that they're all the same ethnic backgrounds as the original
Well,
jurors, except now they're
that's
Americans.
American identity. I mean, yeah, even now we forget that it's a country
Yeah.
found on diversity.
Well, it's not even just that. It's just you can tell that he was like, yeah, they're all gonna be white now. Hell yeah.
No,
And
this guy's
I
prejudice is so funny. I mean, he
fuck the
brings
world if you're not
he
American,
brings a couple
basically.
good points like during the courtroom case. Like, I mean, he does the one thing where it's that makes sense is like, hey, how do we know this is genuine love? Is it just love of the moment? Like people go
Yeah.
off to war and then they come back, but so much of the stuff he does is over the top. I mean, the fucking radio bit
Yeah.
where
This
they
is
just
what
plays the
Britain
cricket voice. He's
sounds
like the
like.
voice of Britain, and then they what is it? The swing jazz that comes up. He's just
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
He's like, do you know what they're saying?
He's like the
No,
pin
I
cross
have no
episode.
idea. It's like, what are you trying to prove there? I have no clue.
It
Um,
was something about how boring. I don't
I don't I
know.
don't I don't know.
This movie gets weirder and weirder as progressed. I did really like the ping pong scene though.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
That
I just one more thing actually. I
uh,
keep getting a laugh out of that. Just of his prejudice when there's a line from Roger Lively of like, hey, why do you stress their nationalities? Oh, it's very important, sir. Extremely important. Why? Because we're talking about love, sir. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
everyone hates the British. He's like, look at the Indians in the
I
crowd.
know.
Look at
That's a fair
look at the
point, but it's like, oh,
Chinese.
nationalities are important because we're talking about love. Like, but why?
It's
I
old
know.
time. You got to remember, this is pre-segregation.
Yeah.
Racism was still like the norm at the time, so it just old time thoughts. I'm sure in the theaters back then, people were like, "Yeah, this guy's right. I don't know who he is, but yeah, yeah."
Yeah, I mean, well, a big thing that I think is really cool about this movie is that, and that actor, he is Canadian though, and shortly became an American citizen after that. But it's a British production. It's just cool to see. It's not a bad portrayal of
Hating
America.
themselves a little
Kim
bit.
Hunter is an American actress, and I don't know.
Yeah, Bostonian, I
It
suppose.
is. It's that movie that's supposed to bridge the gap, and there's a sense of both cultures within that courtroom scene. It's not one caricature of another necessarily.
I read this thing that Kim Hunter's was testing to be in a Hitchcock movie. I believe it was Suspicion. And that's when Michael Powell, like, he conversed. He had some kind of dialogue with Hitchcock. He's like, "Oh, who should we get for this movie?" And then he pointed at him, and in her direction. But yeah, I really like the stoppage of time stuff here. Obviously, they didn't have the technology, so you can still see the actors in the background barely moving.
Yeah, no, you have to look real close though.
You
I
have
mean, you can
to
see
look
Kim
close. Of
Hunter
course, you're gonna be looking
shaking in one
close.
moment. Yeah,
Yeah, you can see her shake in the hospital scene, but the ping pong one in particular, I think that's the best one in the film. I
that's a
mean, there's only
freeze
three
frame. Yeah,
examples. It wasn't though.
the moment that they stopped. I
The
want to say
no,
that
I
they
think what
froze
they
the
did,
frame.
maybe for a second, if you're I was paying attention, the ping pong itself is I think they just painted like a white circle on the glass behind the table. But they're moving around the frame. It doesn't look like there's any kind of, wizardry going on. When they leave the room, you can tell that they like walk under prehistoric green screen because it has like a really weird segue. Like they kind of pass through the window. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
like I
Uh,
honestly though I don't. Well, you got a high def copy of this, I think.
yeah, I did.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
still have the
Well, first off,
DVD, although it's still got a great restoration. But
this
I
is in the
don't know
public
how they
domain.
did that effect of walking through the glass and through the walls. Like, I mean, it really looks fucking good.
It is good. Like I said, I think that they have a blanket, like a green screen type blanket. Like George Méliès, he was doing this kind of stuff in like 1912, something like that.
Hmm.
So if you had the know-how, you could figure it out. I think that they
Maybe
put
just
a
paint over
blanket.
the frame, like put a mat through
No,
there. I
because
don't
they
know.
they walk through it.
Yeah,
So
No, like
maybe
paint it in the foreground, or in front of
something. I
them.
don't
I don't
know.
know.
I'm
Yeah,
sure there's a documentary
it's
out there
very
or
seamless though.
behind the scenes stuff. I mean, that's the
There,
whole
well,
movie.
there isn't
Look
really
at
the
the
DVD
Stairway to
that I have
Heaven.
doesn't have much. It just has a Martin Scorsese intro and the audio commentary, and that's it. I mean, this is in public domain, so
Yeah.
I really wish that this got the Criterion treatment like the others because it's a gorgeous looking movie. I mean, at least the DVD has a good restoration on it.
That Stairway to Heaven
Oh,
is
that sequence.
real. I didn't really like the first one, but the second one when they're all sitting on the steps, uh, like how I read how they did it, but I still don't know how they did. Like I know the staircase itself wasn't actually that big. It was like a miniature, okay, and they superimposed imagery and had a backdrop and all this stuff. But even still, like it is a very convincing image.
Mhm.
And to have done that with only practical means almost 100 years ago now, it's like 75. Really impressive. Like, wow.
No,
That's kind
I
of this
think
whole
we
movie,
are
though.
on, 1946. We're on 70 years from now.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think that we could do that today with practical effects. They'd have to read about it somewhere, or like try to find someone who's like 100 years old that worked on this film. Like they would definitely, like we lack that creative spark. Like for every Mad Max Fury Road, there's, I don't know, I can't even come
I
up
think
with a
it's.
follow.
I think it could be done. I mean, the big thing is that we're obsessed from visual effects. We're obsessed with making things perfect and seamless. Whereas here,
Uh,
I am sure there are flaws in terms of how they
oh,
do it,
yeah,
but
totally.
and they're on the screen. But narratively, it's just you're so sucked into it that you don't notice it, and they also cover it up really well. I mean, the same goes
And
for effects like that. It's like good CGI. You have to hide it so that's not
you're
obvious.
also, I think you're just also more forgiving with this film because of the age of it. Like you're not trying to pick apart the effects and that like you said, like Kim Hunter's is moving in the frame when she's supposed to be frozen.
Yeah,
And
no,
you go,
like I
well,
wasn't
they didn't
looking
know how
for
to do
that
that back
until
then.
like
It's
I
okay.
wasn't looking for that probably till my fifth viewing, honestly.
Yeah, it's like you're okay with this not being perfect. Just it's really good, and that's good enough. My bottom line here, I definitely recommend this movie. I would buy this for $1. I, it
It's just the
just
false
it
expectations that I might have set.
Yes. Well, not even
Sorry
you,
about
just
that.
the movie sets up, to be honest,
Yeah.
that it begins with love and it's all about love and it isn't. Like it's like a low blow. I wanted to love this movie. If they actually had a romance, if there was some kind of courtship, if there was any kind of conversation they had where you felt like they were kindred spirits, because as an audience member, I was just as confused or troubled or disbelieving as the court is why there's even appeal in this movie. I wasn't a believer. They have great chemistry. The few lines they have together outside that opening are really good. I like their meet cute on the beach, but if any movie deserves a remake, this one does. Just to make that opening stronger, to make me believe that they love each other. Like if they did, I would probably love this movie. And I still recommend it just for the power of this early cinema and how gorgeous it looks and all the other things that we've said during this episode. But it's a minor flaw, but it's a big one in
Well,
my
no,
book.
it's definitely a fair point. This is if I saw this years ago.
Uh-huh.
I've loved this movie for a long time. Would buy it for $1. This is a 5-star movie for me. But if I did see this for the first time now, that is something that I expect more of movies now is better developed relationships. So that would definitely be my criticism. But the creativity of this movie
Yeah.
still sucks me in. I feel like that is a big part of what makes it still hold up. I
Just
mean,
great
yeah,
dual
just
world
it's
making.
a gorgeous movie, like gorgeously shot by the great Jack Cardiff. This is his first film too, I think. And I noticed in the credits too that Jeffrey Unsworth was the AC in this too, and he went on to shoot stuff like 2001, which is really cool.
Oh wow.
So I mean, yeah, a lot of cool, talented people behind this. But I said this is a 5-star movie. I love this movie. It holds up amazingly well. It's just a nice, unique little fantasy that I like going into every once in a while.
This is a good you're staying at home because you're sick movie. I think
I've done that.
if you had like a bowl of soup and like a grilled cheese sandwich and you watch this on a rainy day,
Hmm.
like it'd be a really amazing watch. Definitely really good nostalgic energy.
Yeah, I mean, it's really that romance, it is an old-fashioned movie, definitely, but like, yeah, when you're in the mood for that, it's absolutely a
Um,
good one to go to.
I was having a good time last night when I watched it. I was definitely smiling towards the end in particular. I just wished it was a little more rounded.
Nah, I got you.
Thanks for listening. We hope it's been a pleasure. If you like this show and you want to hear more of our wonderful voices on a weekly basis, check out 2 Cents. I'll recap what's happened in film, TV, and tech news.
We're also on the titular Dollar Review Show, a spoiler-free critique of new releases or anything we've discovered on our own, whether that be TV, music, etc.
You can find all of our content at dollarreviews.net. Follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook at Dollar Reviews.
We're available on iTunes, YouTube, TuneIn, Stitcher, and constantly looking to expand to other platforms.
If you listen somewhere we're currently not available, you'd like to contribute some talking points, send a Death to Cinema request, or if you just want to laugh at us, you can do so by reaching out to us on social media or send an email to brian@dollarreviews.net.
Or you can email me as well, steve@dollarreviews.net.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis. That's BryonGillis. And now you know how to spell the email too. And also under the same name on the lovely site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate films I'm watching, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at Letterboxd under the same name, where I log everything I watch and sometimes write brief reviews.
That's it for this week. Until next time, keep the change.